Okay, hi, welcome everybody. For those I didn't see yesterday, welcome to the Autumn School. Welcome to Winterstraat, which is the neighborhood that we're in now. I wanted to say that I'm really happy to see lots of different people working on the topic of work also. It's nice to see the diversity. I couldn't imagine before how diverse it would be, so it's really nice, I think. Looking forward to exchanging projects and ideas of approaching these projects. Also, I was happy to see that not everybody works in the context of work, but also explores participation and art and design practices, because that of course is also part of Traders and the Autumn School, and what we want to explore during this week. I'm Jessica Schoffelen, for those who don't know yet, part of the coordinating team of Traders, together with other people of course. I want to give a short introduction so you know what you will be working in for the coming days, and also give a bit of an introduction of the context. Very little from my point of view, but I wanted to start in time because we have the mayor coming at 10, and therefore I want to be really ready for him when he joins us. And he will explain more about Genk and work, so he will explain more about the context also. So first of all, Traders, for those who don't know yet, I know there are people that joined last year also, so they know it, but others maybe don't. Traders is short for Training Art and Design Researchers in Participation for in public space or public issues, of course, like work, for instance. Health can also be an issue that is complex often also. That is what Traders stands for. As Veerle, also coordinator, explained yesterday, it's a collaboration between different institutions. It's a European funded project by Marie Curie. It's a collaboration between Lucas School of Art, which I am part of, and which is situated here in Genk, Urban Planning Department of KU Leuven, Design Academy Eindhoven, Chalmers University, and Göteborg University in Sweden, Göteborg, and RCA in the UK. So it's a collaboration between all these institutions. To each institution we have a PhD researcher working and connected to, working specifically on the approach of Traders, which I will talk about further. Every student or researcher is coached by a supervisor, and also we have associated partners, and this we think is important. Associated partners can be the city of Göteborg, for instance, cultural organizations like Z33 that you were introduced to yesterday as an associated partner. Also Standby, which is a company based in London and Amsterdam that does a lot of design research for big companies also. Why do we think this is important? To support an exchange, of course, of practices, but also because often you work with these people as a partner within projects related to public space or participatory projects. So therefore, we really value these partnerships. Also, an exchange with all of you, all of the people working in these contexts, is important for Traders because we want to open up what is happening within our research. Explain a bit the starting point of Traders. The fact was that we saw, and you also see a lot of people working in participatory ways related to public space, related to complex issues, artists, designers working in this context, that aim to work in participatory ways, but it's not easy. Often we also see that, for instance, they inform people, users or inhabitants of a certain area about plans that are already decided upon, or they have people take part in the first phase of a process, just informing and then letting them be and just continue the process as designers or artists. We don't think those are the best real participatory practices. At the same time, we see a lot of good practices also, really trying to intensely cooperate with people living in a certain area, for instance, or with their users and all kinds of stakeholders involved. yeah, this dualism is a starting point of traders, but what we wanted to do is really build a more in-depth discourse about participation and public issues, complex issues. If you work in these contexts, it is important to work critically in this context and also look at your own methods that you apply, your own processes. And that is a bit what we want to support. And for this we have this, this is a bit the visualization of the work in traders. I mentioned we have 6 PhD researchers that are trained specifically for working in this context. 5 of them work on specific methods, intervention, play, multiple performative mapping, modeling and dialogue, and data mining. You will get to know these better during the working tables later on this week, but also already, I think, during the day today, because we will exchange a bit and introduce each other today in between lectures. Each of them explore, for instance, what can an intervention be? Can an intervention be just, does it only have to be a one-time intervention, or can it be an iteration, process-wise interventions, working more towards participatory approaches maybe? And one researcher, which is Michael, is researching all the others, joining their processes, trying to understand what is happening there from a meta point of view. What are the challenges involved? What are their meeting points? What kind of confrontations, but also opportunities appear in their projects? And that is important. How can we translate this to some kind of framework or tool training for others like you to also build upon, and also to exchange your own practices within this framework? So that is a bit Michael's work. Also the anchor case, which was mentioned yesterday, I think Pablo mentioned it, which is connected to this place. Once in a while, regularly, the social spacers research, the traders researchers, I'm sorry, get together and also work on specific projects to allow this confrontation between approaches. And this is Genk. Genk is the anchor case, and now for this autumn school it is the Andere Markt, and also Betty's Garden. Yeah, if you work on the same project, it's more interesting and easier maybe to see these connections and differences between approaches. So that is a bit how we work in traders. Yeah, and I mentioned already that we also want to exchange with you. We don't want to build this discourse by ourselves. Communication and collaboration is at the core of traders, and therefore we used to have a website, which is just one way direction. We translated it into a platform. I already saw lots of you using it, so that's nice. We hope to build further upon that. And now you will see maybe a lot of projects concerning this autumn school related to work. Pablo will also be editing the platform for the next 2 months, I think, but then it will change, so the content will change, will broaden, also when you put in your own projects, and we hope to see a lot of discussion and exchange going on there. So it's an extension actually of the autumn school, you can say, of the public events that we organize. Since we are situated in Genk, and Luca is a part of the Traders Consortium, I also wanted to introduce Social Spaces, the research group that I am part of which Pablo is now also part, and in which actually the idea, first by Lisbeth Heubrechts, who is in the back. She's not coordinating the project anymore, but she's still very much involved. Within this context, the idea of traders, of trading researchers, artists, designers partly grew. Social Spaces is a research group existing of a lot of people from different backgrounds. We have design researchers, social researchers, designers, artists, developers, and so on. We are a young research group. I think we exist for about 8 years now, and I here display one of the first projects that we did, just to explain that we really wanted to. When we started, we already wanted to work within the context of Genk. We searched for meaningful purposes and ways in which we could contribute to what's going on here. As you may know already, it's a rich context, Genk, from its background, mining industry, manufacturing industry, people coming from very diverse backgrounds. So we really were challenged to work with it, to set up projects within this context. In this project, we explored the city, all its levels. For instance, the multicultural background, we researched through food, eating habits, culture. But also the mining heritage we explored with people that used to work in the mines, but also the architecture, as you may have noticed, probably is influenced by this background. So this is the first project where we also worked in participatory ways. It involved the city, lots of local organizations working on heritage, for instance, also people that welcomed us in their homes, different designers, also students from the school. So this was one of our first experiences with that, and immediately from that point of starting point, we started exploring how to work in participatory ways, how to involve all these different backgrounds to work in constructive ways, which is probably what you also do. Therefore, Social Spaces researches these methods. That is a focus of our research. And we look at playful methods, making things tangible instead of only talking, for instance, making tangible in-between outcomes, boundary objects, to use a theoretical term, can be interesting ways of bringing people together. So this was our first project, and evolving from that, we also started evolving in our research and thinking about what participation may mean in projects. And one of the current focuses of our research group is working towards more long-term participation. What we experience is that often you do projects and you want to do valuable projects, but when you leave the site, they end, they die. So from that point of view, we are researching how to extend this participation, how to allow people that you work with to work on, to elaborate the project that was started. But also from our own point of view, like for instance, this project is a project in the field of healthcare. If you work within this project, and this project lasted for about two and a half years, you can say that's long, but actually it's really short. We're in a final phase now, and yeah, we still have lots of things to do. So how can you progress on this short-term project, and how can you continue to work in this field of healthcare, for instance? You gain a lot of insights. It's not our normal field of working, but you get experience in it, and how can you therefore continue working in this field instead of hopping from one project to another. So in this project this concerned the development of open self-management tools for people having diabetes type 1. We developed these tools in a very participatory way, bespoke tools for specific persons, 3 participants. But what is more important maybe is that we document how we wanted to already prepare this follow-up and allow this continuation of the process. We were inspired a bit by open source software where documentation plays an important role, and we are researching how we can document these projects. And we video documented perspectives, viewpoints, differing viewpoints of all kinds of people involved, challenges that we experienced. And we also organized a workshop for which we distributed open calls. All kinds of people participated in this also to explore the challenges that we were confronted with together. So that is, and also we invited specific designers which we thought could be interesting to work with for a more longer period besides these open workshops, for instance. Now, as I said, we're at the final phase and we build up these relationships, but still we think about what now? We have this and how can we continue this? So we're looking for new funding to help us work further on this project. But just this is reality. That is why I wanted to share this. And this other project, Keep Forget, it's by our colleague Andrea Wilkinson. She also did a research in this area. She worked very closely with people, with residents from this neighborhood. And her project focused on collecting stories of these people. And what is interesting is that she designed specific outcomes that she could give back to these people. There are small things, but for instance, it's this canary, whereas the story about working in the mines is connected to this canary. People used canaries in the mines to be alerted really soon when there was a release of toxic gas, for instance. They would die first, so they knew they had to get out of the underground. The idea here is, and that is important, is to give something back to the people that you work with. Often it is not done, and also to have them connected, to gather new stories, for instance. She also made stickers of Winterslag, she made a logo, she made a nice wall drawing that you will see in the Tuin of Betty, also to give something back, and we think also this is valuable project, and you should think about this when you do projects with people. This is another project that I wanted to share, which we set up a Fab Lab. Most of you know what a Fab Lab is, I think. It's a space that is open accessible for everybody that wants to make things. It wants to support this making by all kinds of people. It's an infrastructure, having machines. For us, some of you that were here last year, visited this Fab Lab. It's very distant from the center. It lies in an industrial site. Therefore it's also a bit distant from what is happening here. So what we see is that a lot of students come there, architects also, but what specifically Katrien Drees, who's also here, she is coordinator of the Fab Lab. She is now exploring how to find connections with the neighborhood. How to work from a bottom-up process, and have also these people that are not used to coming to this space get to know the machineries, get to know the possibilities of the space. It's different from our students that are used to working with these machines. So she went from Fab Lab to Fan Lab, for instance, which is a small case that she did. She looked for people that she could collaborate with. And she got connected to football fans. We have a good football team here in Genk. They play on a national level. People are really proud of that, so it's an interesting thing to work on. And they invited them to use the laser cutter, for instance, to make these tools. Templates that they can use to make their supporting flags, for instance. So in this way, learning about the machines, learning about the potential, learning new skills, and that is also what we want to work on. And she will continue her research on this level. But also in traders, of course, people are exploring participation, very similar to what we are doing, and all of our institutions that are involved are doing, probably what you are doing also. I just want to talk about Anneliese's project, for instance, wherein she explores play, and she specifically focuses on free play by children, and how they use urban spaces, and what we can learn from their use of urban space and play, maybe. But play is a continuum, of course, and also in the working table she will explore what kind of different play exists and how other people use this. So just to illustrate how it's an in-depth exploration of methods specifically. I also put in Saba Goldsha's research, where she explores the value or the use of big data. How can designers use big data? They are not used to using this, but maybe as we were not used to using specific methods that we borrowed from the sciences, we should get involved in using big data, and what kind of roles could we have within this, for instance. And for the working table, she specifically explores the question how big data collection and analysis can support bottom-up collaboration, people putting up social economies, for instance. So that is the question she's exploring for this autumn school. But for traders then, this is in the autumn school specifically, this is the question that are central within this week. What, if any, is a critical role of participatory art and design in reconfiguring labor and work? How can and should work be reinvented? How can we support a debate concerning contemporary labor, forms of production, and new types of creative work? Big questions. And therefore we also have a very diverse program. We are really happy with the program. Just a tip, if you want to get really good people together, then book them really soon, what we did. Then they are all able to come, which is really nice. Maybe the first questions are addressed not only, but maybe more by our keynotes, Pelle Ann, Karel Di Salvo, and Pascal Hiele. Also, Pascal Hiele really looking critical to your own role within the context of work also. So I think this will be really interesting. And the cases, of course, also allow us to think about work and also you. To get to know the work that is done by the researchers of traders, but also to reflect upon your own work and to share your own work. So I put in the program here just to explain you a bit what will happen the following days. I don't know what time it is now, but we will have the mayor, and then what you see in between are introduction rounds for you to tell a bit who you are, just 2 minutes, because we don't have much time, but to already get to know you a bit. Then we have Shanna van Heeswijk. She's here already. I think she's a very good practice of how to build up long-term relationships with people, and that when you leave that these cooperations can continue. So we're really happy with having her here. Lots of people know her already, work with her already. But it's nice. I've never heard her speak, but I'm really interested. Then Pelle Ann, we look very much to the work that is going on in Copenhagen, Malmö. Also because we think Malmö is very similar to Genk. Looking forward to that. And then Pascal Hiele today. At the end of every day we have a discussion forum to reflect upon what happened during the day, ideas that you have that you want to exchange, questions maybe. It is moderated by mostly 2 speakers that also talk during the day. And we have evening activities also, just for you to get to know the context that you are working in for the coming days. The next days, on Thursday, we start the working tables, as you know, and continue that on the following day. We did this also last time, to get towards more tangible outcomes. So we will do this this year also, and we have a presentation moment of this at the end of our week, and then a final discussion to reflect upon this again. These are the cases, if you don't know yet, that we will work on from Thursday off. You will get introduced to this tomorrow. It is the Andere Markt, which you were in yesterday. Lisbeth particularly will introduce the Andere Markt. She's a coordinator of this project, and it involves a lot of smaller projects. It's still in its starting phase, so your input on this is really valuable also for the project. It's a nice way to collaborate. And then the Tuin van Betty. It's opposite the Andere Markt. We are not connected to them from our institute, but just from working here that we got to know Gilberte class and also someone from the Stadswacht, the neighborhood watch, that are there is this garden, and it exists, and they want to make it a community garden because it's really a valuable place, but it's difficult to set up this garden. Often you see community gardens popping up everywhere, but here it seems kind of difficult, so that is a bit the challenge that they want to explore and share with you. We pay a lot of attention to communication because we want to share about traders, so we invite you to also use the hashtags. And everything will be documented today also, and the coming days also. We want to share everything, also the presentations, the lectures, so that is why Bumi is here to document everything. So thank you. If there are any questions, maybe you can still Okay.